unclear to me how it's almost midday. Fuck. And I'm like, time's a construct, so is it almost midday? Or are you perceiving it to almost be midday?
We're recording now, James.
Fuck! It's fine. Hold on.
We got the bit where time's a concept. So
Yeah.
That's a good way to open, right?
Technically... Oh, is anyone free after 3? Actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I kind of am. Hold on.
Who is this?
This is Charlie.
Never mind.
But
I'm kidding.
Until 6 p.m. I'm such a social butterfly.
Yeah, look at you. Doing all
Perceiving it to be midday at 9 minutes to midday. You're right. Like, yeah.
What time is it? Oh shit, it's 11:50.
Yeah. Well, remember, we do tend to spend like an hour at the mall. Have we ever talked about that actually? Have we ever talked about the ritual we've kind of come up with about...
No, I don't think we've mentioned it in the podcast.
Yeah, I think we should. Okay, so for like, it's just like a thing that we do, but like because I live in the southern part of the North Shore.
Our 9 faithful listeners.
Yeah, exactly. They need to know.
Have.
But I think you should know the fact that like we like... Because I live on the southern part of the North Shore and he lives like further, like in the northern part, not too far away though. It's like
in the north of the North Shore.
Yeah, it's like roughly like a 10 to like 15-minute drive. Really, it's not that far away from each other. Yeah. But the meeting point in terms of bus services is like Albany Mall. So we always like meet at Albany Mall, get like lunch/brunch.
Yeah. And
an ice cream now that seems to be.
Yeah, that's the thing now.
Yeah, and then we bus back to his. We do the recording, and then. After that, I either Uber home or end up going straight into town because stuff like this happens where I end up getting invitations to go and do shit after podcasts. So...
I'm just moving the mic away from you.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. And I'm not... And you know what, Randall? I'm not offended. Offended. I'll remember that, but I'm not offended.
Look, I'm going to have to edit them down anyways.
You can just remove this and be like, I don't remember you ever saying that. Although, be warned, I do have all the files unedited on my on my computer, so blackmail could happen. Although I don't think... Have we said anything inflammatory on these things? I don't think we have.
No, the only thing I've ever edited out was, you saying someone's full name.
Yeah, and that's really... Because I was trying to clarify which Ashley I was talking about, but also... We shouldn't have that on the podcast. Yeah. So yeah.
Because like unless they're already a public figure, I'm not gonna make them into.
Yeah, like you're not gonna like edit out Stephanie Joanne Germanota because she's Lady Gaga. Like everybody knows who that is.
I didn't, but that's
you didn't. No, but also I mean sometimes I just feel.
Isn't she in a movie nowadays?
Yeah, she's in A Star Is Born, which I'm kind of keen to see. One, because I'm a big fan of Lady Gaga just in general, but also apparently it's really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's a remake of, like, the other movies of A Star Is Born, which is, like, there's, like, I think 4 other Star Is Born movies. Oh. I watched them with Barbara Streisand in it. That's probably one of my favourites. But, yeah, I'm kind of tempted to watch this version, because it looks a lot more gritty. I don't know.
Okay.
Because, like, the one in Barbara Streisand's, like, quite, like, she's meant to be in poverty, but she's also walking around in, like, clean clothes and a clean house, and you're like... Okay. It's just like
poor people can be clean too, Jay.
No, but she's like she's sitting there, she's like, I'm so hard done by, let's get brunch, and you're like, are you though? Like whereas like this one looks like Lady Gaga's literally like eating pies at like a service station being like, this is all I can afford this week. And
hell
like, damn. But also
that's a New Zealand like
but see that really connects to me as a university student who like has $3 and can still buy a pie for lunch. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's a dream.
Pies are like what, $2?
Yeah, I think Irvine's is about like $2.50, I think.
Yeah, but if you want like an actual good pie, you're gonna have to spend more. But
Miss Max is $3.50. Yeah. I think they don't do Big Ben's pies at university. I've noticed, which is kind of sad.
They used to do like this bakehouse one. I think it's called Bakehouse in Pack and Save, and they did this like mince and bacon. Like it's like a mince and cheese with like bacon pieces in it. Oh, it was a good time.
Oh my god!
It was pretty spenny though. It was like $5, I think.
Yes, yeah, and I just sometimes.
But it was a good pie.
Sometimes I feel like you can't get away with that here, like having like a preheated pie for $5, only because you could end up just going to a bakery and getting like a freshly baked pie for like $3. So you just can't get away with it.
And some of the bakery pies are fucking amazing.
Oh my god. I've never found a bad bakery pie, because usually if you find a bad bakery pie, the bakery tends to not last long.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
There's one up the hill where their potato top pie is amazing.
I honestly have such a craving now for potato top pie.
Dude, me too.
I haven't had one in so long as well. Like, because they're just kind of hard. They're hard to come by unless you go to bakeries. Like, only bakeries tend to do potato top pies. Like, they don't have preheated potato top pies in places these days.
No, they don't.
I know they do them up north. There's a brand called Kerry Pies that do it.
I know, because I used to work at Pack and Save. They used to have, like, potato top, but they're, like, the frozen ones.
Yeah. And also, that like, so reminds me when we were flying. So, went to Australia recently, to Brisbane for my auntie's 50th.
Yeah.
The flight's over, so we thought, right, because the tickets all said Emirates, that we were flying with Emirates.
Yeah.
Turns out Emirates doesn't do trans-Tasman flights anymore, at least from Auckland Airport, at least not all of them. They code share with Qantas. So we're actually on a Qantas flight, and let me tell you, the flight there was actually genuinely awful.
Oh no.
So I think it's on one of their planes they don't actually have like entertainment system screens. They've transferred it all onto iPads, which you think is cool, but it's not.
On paper, yeah, it kind of does.
On paper it's cool, right? And then also on paper it's like you can download their app and use your own iPad and you don't have to use...
Okay.
But that's good for people that have iPads.
Yeah.
I don't. So I would have had to have used the...
It would have been good for me and my brother.
Yes, exactly. But so I would have had to have used, the iPads on the plane.
Yeah.
Then before our flight, they go onto like the intercom and they're like, just letting all passengers know that not all of our iPads in economy are working. And I'm like...
You fucking bastards.
Are you fucking shitting? Are you telling me that I have to sit in a 3-hour flight with nothing to do? I'll die of boredom.
You should have brought a book to read or something, I don't know.
Well, I didn't realise I was going to have to contend with like broken iPads on a flight that I've paid like hundreds of dollars for, to be fair.
James, I'm just saying, I feel like you're expecting a bit too much from a 3-hour flight.
Not real. Like, you say that, but not really, because on the flight back, we had a smaller plane that ended up being better. So we were on a 737 rather than a 767, which is what we flew over on. And they were way better. They had like their own little mini entertainment systems. The food was better, even. Like, it was just an all-around better flight coming back from Brisbane to Auckland. And I've taken flights from New Zealand, like from Auckland to Melbourne on like Air New Zealand and Royal Brunei, and they've been really, really good 3-hour flight services.
Yeah.
In economy. This was just one of the worst flights I had ever taken. The food, they said like chicken, beef, or salmon salad. Oh no, chicken salad or fish or beef. You had 3 options.
Yeah.
Me and Mum both got beef, but it was like this weird kind of like... It looked like dog food, and the gravy was kind of like almost acidic. As in, like, it kind of had this...
It started melting through the plastic.
Well, no, it kind of had this weird, like, tang after it.
Oh.
The potato was, like... We're pretty sure it was, like, dried potato... that dry mashed potato, like, Instamash and stuff?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was that.
Oh.
And then the vegetables were, like, not really vegetables.
Was it you who was talking to about why like airplane food always tastes like crap?
I think we've had this conversation, yes.
Yeah, it's like it's I think it's like something about like altitude. I was gonna say attitude. It's like, hold on.
All about your attitude.
Yeah. James, you're just not positive.
You're just not taking in the experience that is airline food.
I feel like you just have to be in the moment to enjoy it.
Yeah, but actually, I guess yeah, altitude would probably be.
Yeah, because it alters your like.
Yeah.
Your taste buds or something about your nose, but yeah. It alters something in your body.
Yeah.
And it makes things taste...
And that's also because of incorrect, like, pressurization, right, in the cabin. Because pressurization doesn't necessarily correlate to the way in which we feel on the ground. Well, it's getting closer. I've flown in a 787-9, and that was probably one of the most comfortable flights I've ever taken because it didn't feel like we were in the air, if you get what I mean. Like, it kind of felt like we were just... Almost felt like we were in a big bus, but the bus was, like... 40,000 feet above the air, you know.
It's an Airbus.
It's a Boeing, but yes.
No. It's an Airbus.
No, unfortunately, that joke only works for an Airbus plane. It's actually a Boeing.
It's an Airbus.
It's an Airbus. It's an Airbus 787.
It's a bus in space.
No, in the air. You've really taken it. That's Elon Musk with his like SpaceX project. Which really, actually, is like a wild concept, right? Like, imagine taking holidays to the moon. Like,
I imagine it's going up to SpaceX and tagging on my hop card.
To tag on. No, but like, it's weird, right? Because in the 1950s, they were talking about, like, in the 80s, we'll be taking holidays to the moon. And it's like, we're in 2018 and we're like, no. And
we could barely take a holiday in Australia.
Yeah, because there was a financial crisis in 2008. But no, like, it's kind of weird how the perceived future of people in the 1950s has almost meant that we, like, don't expect much from our own future. Like, in the 1950s, they were expecting everybody to be living on the moon and having flying cars and, like, everything was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And now here in 2018, we're like, we just hope the planet doesn't melt before I die. Like, like, so we have very, like, low-key expectations of our future. I feel like we've got
not really full circle, but like half circle.
Yeah. It's kind of like in the 1950s they were like, oh my god, I can't wait to live till I'm 120.
Yeah.
And then we're like,
no, now we're just like, I hope I die at 60.
Or we're sitting here and we're like, I hope the temperature of the planet only raises by 2 degrees rather than like 4. Sad.
Yeah. With that, we welcome back to another episode.
Fuck, this actually ended up counting as a rant because we didn't do the intro.
And it wasn't even on the same topic.
No.
Welcome back to the 5th episode of In the Cozy Corner of Nowhere.
God damn it. Just god damn it. Like,
we're at it again.
I mean, is this a podcast or are we just fucking around?
At this point, I feel like it's a bit of...
I just kind of feel like we're having fun with it. And I think that, like, that's why I keep coming back to do it. I think if I didn't enjoy it, I'd be like, actually, Randall, I'm like so sick today.
I feel like we're just having a normal conversation, but I've stuck a mic in between us. I've stuck Big Black Mike in between us.
Big Black Mike, who really is a character unto himself. I think he really does. Actually, no. I know he makes these podcasts possible.
Yes.
Like without
the stoic.
With
forever silent.
Without him, we would be nothing. We truly would be nothing. So, shout out to Big Black Mike.
Thank you, Big Black Mike.
Thank you. You're amazing. You also cost us a lot of money. We won't go into that, but like.
Let's not get into that.
But like, hey, he's here now. And he's
supporting us.
And he's yours, ours.
To be...
I mean, you're the one that looks after him. It's like we've got shared custody, but like I'm the like
you come in on weekends.
Yeah, like I'm the definitely irresponsible parent that comes in after like ski visits and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, darling, mummy loves you, like, like, you know, like I come in, I pat it on the head for like, and I spend 30 minutes with it, and I'm like, anyway, mustache, like.
Not even like quality time. You're just
no. Yeah, like no, like that's amazing, that's lovely. Anyway, must rush, like throw a cigarette in its direction, like runs away, like. Yeah, you're definitely the parent that looks after him. It's the messy divorce.
Fuck. All right, what are we talking about in this episode?
We actually didn't decide what we were going to talk about. I don't really feel like we have. I mean, I do. I mean, I have stuff to talk about. I mean, I guess we both do. We're nearing the end of our
semester.
Yeah.
And
actually, by the time this podcast comes out, we would have actually full on finished. I would have had.
No, I wouldn't have. You would.
Oh well, no. I mean, like, but you'll definitely be on like break until next year.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing summer school or anything.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you'll have a big break because you would have just handed in your play and I would have handed in my dissertation.
No, but by the time this comes out next Thursday...
Oh, right.
I still would need to do an essay and my script. So.
Oh, that's super fun.
I know.
That's super fun.
That's one word for it.
That's that's amazing. Wow. So yeah, but like I'm pretty much done actually. I just have a book review to do.
A book review.
A book review. Yeah.
How do you what?
Well, see, that was
What
interesting,
for?
right? Like, how do you do a book review in terms of like anthropology?
Yeah, but like how which lens do you look at it?
So yeah, so I mean, it's really like it's almost trying like what Christine wants us to do is she wants to make sure that we're not just analyzing the book and kind of.
But isn't that a book review?
Yeah, well, she doesn't want us to summarize the book. She wants us to like the review really has to be about our critical engagement with the themes of the book. Like, what's the book trying to tell us, and how do we perceive, or how have we reacted to what the book is trying to tell us? Or how do we think other people have reacted to to the themes of the book is trying to tell us? Which seems really up in the air, but it is quite important. And I found this super important since I've been writing my dissertation, that it's really important to kind of pick out the main theme of a source so that it's easier for you to be able to use that source in a dissertation. Because if you're trying to look for like specific sentences constantly, you're going to spend it's just going to really like bog you down when you're writing your dissertation. So... Wish I knew this before I started writing it. Unfortunately, I was learning this as I was writing my dissertation, so I think the first half of my dissertation is probably going to be very not as good as the second half, just because of that like expanse of time. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. But yeah, I'm almost done.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And you're not going back next year?
Not next year, no.
Are you planning on ever going back?
Yeah, I think now that I know I can do post-grad, I'm definitely going to come back and do my masters. I think it.
Oh yeah.
At this point, it's almost it's gotten to a point where I'm like, I've come this far.
Yeah.
I might as well see how far I can take it.
Yeah.
And so far, none of my lecturers have said that I'm a fucking idiot. So
take it as far as PhD then.
See that scares me, but like I think at the moment I'm like
James, imagine
Dr. James Holt.
Just imagine.
I mean,
with the red hood and going up on stage, them announcing your thesis just on the screen.
Thesis title. How men have formed communities on Grindr.
With the weird very. All red hood and the weird hat.
That looks like
imagine.
That looks like an unstuffed pillowcase. I mean, yeah, like I think at this point a PhD seems so far removed from my current reality and so daunting that I don't want to do one. But I think if I did a master's and completed a master's, a PhD wouldn't look as daunting as it does from where I'm standing now. So maybe. I just don't want to say, I'm definitely doing my PhD, because what if I freak out and don't want to do a PhD? I don't want to put myself and everybody around me through that expectation. So, we'll see what happens.
Now you have, James. I'm expecting you to have a PhD.
I do suppose the advantage to a PhD is that there is no time frame on your PhD. Like, they don't say you need to finish your PhD by, like, you have 2 years to finish your PhD. It's more like, develop a research topic...
And then do it.
Sit at the university, do as much research as you possibly can, and once you've written something, submit it by these dates. And so I guess that's one. It's truly, a PhD is truly the university giving you resources to do something and them letting you just go wild. Still scary, because it means...
Oh, hell's yeah.
Because it just means they have to, It means I have to come up with a topic and I need to research it and I have to write 100,000 words on it, and it's like, what could I possibly...
100,000 words.
And also being so self-deprecating, I'm sitting here thinking, what could I possibly add to the academic discourse that hasn't already been added? What could I possibly bring to the table that's what
I wonder too.
Yeah.
If I ever do a PhD, which I very much doubt.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, you have the advantage of having done drama and psych in your undergrad. And I think you could really, really push that into a PhD.
Yeah, I guess I could find a niche in drama by adding psychology into it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I'm not well versed enough in psychology to do that.
But Randall, think about it. Dr. Randall Buenafe.
Oh no, very
Think about it.
Very
Think
tempting.
about it. All the red hood, the weird hat, like just them announcing your thesis on drama and psychology and how it affects the human mind. Like,
Oh boy. And imagine going back home to the Philippines.
as Dr. Randall.
Actually, call me doctor.
Actually, Randall Buenafe, PhD. Like, you're just like, I mean, yeah, I guess it, maybe one of the main reasons why I would ever want a PhD is kind of more for the prestige you get with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
a PhD comes with a sense of gravitas that your other degrees don't. But yeah, but also I realized that even a PhD is not the end of it if you want to go full academia, right? Like, if you want to end up being a professor, there's also like hierarchies within that, apparently as well. And I'm like, oh, like,
you're gonna have to be teaching in the university to attain like professorship or something.
and you start off as like a and you got like different ranks, right? Like professors, like the like go to you want to be a professor.
Yeah,
you
they're
want
like associate professors.
Then you got
and shit.
associate professors, and then you've got like conveners and all of these like under. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, that's such a like, for example, politics, right? In the politics department, in the public policy department, they just this year had their first female professor, and it's like, you would have thought would have done that by now. Like, so yeah, like it's so it is a very hard thing to attain. So I don't know. Maybe I want to be a professor as well. I don't know. Like, how far can I take it? Like,
Just James, imagine.
Professor James
Holt.
But imagine me giving lectures, though.
I'd attend your lecture.
You'd attend my lecture?
Once.
Yeah. Once, and you realize I'm fucking insane. Because, yeah, I don't... honestly, like, in my head, I'm like, I just could never imagine it. But I guess that's the point, is like, it is kind of the unimaginable. Like, again, I probably could never imagine when I was, like, at college that I would have done a postgraduate. Like, my goal at college was to do a bachelor's and get a bachelor's, and that was about it. Like, that's all I wanted.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, back in high school, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. But then realized how long it would take, and I'm like, nah.
See, I had this, like, I'm having this weird kind of opposite thing, right? Like people tend to have like really high expectations of themselves in college, and then and either they go for it or they start to like dip down, and you kind of be like, oh, actually no, I just kind of want to get a bachelor's or something.
Yeah, I feel like I just said that just because I don't know, people are asking me. I was like, well, doctor seems good.
Yeah, but see, even then, when people ask me, they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I just want to get a degree and see what happens. Like, I had very
At
low...
this point, that's me.
I had very low expectations of myself, and now I'm exceeding those expectations, which feels both good but also kind of feels fake. Like, it's at some point I don't believe it, and sometimes even still I'll have like lecturers ask me like, you're definitely coming back to do a master's with us, right? And I'm like, oh, you're just saying that because you want to be nice. Yeah. And the department's slowly dying. Like,
no, James, that's you shooting for the moon and landing on the star.
Which I've always hated.
Don't tell the star that.
You just don't tell the stars that. But don't tell the moon that. I mean, again, I've always hated that saying because stars are way more distant than the moon, but I understand the purpose of the saying is that the moon is more brighter, so you aim for it and then you fall amongst us. Anyway, I get it.
Wait, isn't it like aim for the star and land on the moon or something?
Yeah, aim for the stars and land on the moon. No, it's aim for the moon and land amongst the stars. That's the saying.
Is it?
If you aim for the moon, you will land amongst the stars. That's the whole point.
Oh.
Yeah. I personally
misunderstood that.
See, I personally prefer aim for the stars and you'll land on the moon because that makes more sense.
Just don't tell the moon that.
Just don't tell the moon that. Like, you can go for your second best. Just don't tell them they're your second best.
Fuck, when did we see that?
No, I forgot why we said that. I feel like it was in our first podcast. No, it was in the meta episode, I think. That's not been released yet and doesn't technically exist. But yeah.
Until it does.
Yeah, until it does.
What it is.
But there is a meta episode and I think we talk about that. But it doesn't exist.
No.
It's not real.
How did we find that?
No, I think we came up with it.
Did we?
Because weren't we were talking about...
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure because we were talking about something.
I thought I read it somewhere.
No, no, that's right. No, it was on a Reddit thing and it was about this guy that said... That's right, there was a story about... Remember?
Yes.
The guy that said that he tried to go for this girl's because she was super hot, but then went for her like best friend, even though she wasn't that attractive, but like told her, so then he didn't get with anyone.
Yeah.
And then the guy,
like one guy who commented was like, aim for the stars and land on the moon, but don't tell the moon that. Oh, that's right.
Which is like, and isn't that kind of, I don't know, I kind of don't fathom people that think like that, right? They're like, oh, I didn't get with the girl I wanted, I'll just go for the second best, but I'll tell her she's second best. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? First of all, let's not rank people, and second of all, like, why you gotta say to someone, oh, you're my second choice?
Yeah.
It's not gonna make anybody feel good.
That's not gonna make you feel good either.
No, it's not gonna make you feel good either, because
it makes you feel like a shit.
Yeah, like, sometimes you don't need to say everything to someone. And sure, honesty is the best policy, but there is a line. Like, there truly is a line.
I feel like that's gonna be the title of the podcast. It's a bit too long, though.
That's true. Yeah. Although, the last episode, wasn't that called...
Mom's a fire goddess and Dad's volcano?
Yeah. So...
Mom listened to it.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, she made a cameo.
Yeah.
She had a cameo.
But she also, like, posted about it. And I'm like, yay!
Yay! I love how at the moment it's been mainly family members that have been really...
Mom's, like, pimping us out.
Yeah. Although, okay, hold on, we do have international recognition, though. Because when I went over to Australia and was talking to my cousins, the first thing he said to me was, oh, I heard you got a podcast now. And I was like, oh, we made it international. We broke into the Australian market. At least...
We've got like one download from Australia and one download from the United States.
I don't know where that one's from.
I think my family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I've got some fam bam in the United States.
In the United States of America.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Shout out to people in the United States of America.
Whichever one of my family.
We can't even say that, like, good luck and God bless because your politics is fucked up, because ours is kind of on fire at the moment as well.
Yes.
So, we don't. See, I don't want to comment too much on it, because by the time this comes out, all of this information may be irrelevant. But, like... It would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that currently National and Simon Bridges and Jamie Lee Ross are... just
burning down.
Well, no, but like they're kind of... Like, I'm kind of living for it, because it's kind of like...
Not really burning down, but burning up.
Yeah, and because like...
at some point they're
and it's definitely like a 1v1. It's like Simon versus Jamie Lee Ross, and they're like both like... sending recordings and getting people to... And I'm like
they're not pulling any punches.
I know, it's like so messy and dirty, and I'm like, this is what I... Like, it's almost... This is something you'd want to see in like a political drama that you'd think, oh no, this is too far-fetched. But it's not. Like, it's actually happening. Like, this is real.
Yeah.
So... And I'm also happy that it's the party that I didn't vote for that is doing this, and not the party...
Fantastic.
Because if it's the party that I voted for, then I'd be like, shit, I voted wrong. Like, damn.
Oh no.
Oh no, I got the answers wrong. Shit.
No, James, there is no right answer.
Well, not in politics, anyway.
Apparently.
Ugh. Jesus. What a time. What a moment to be alive.
I know.
Also, I do feel... In saying that, the discourse around it is like... Especially the discourse that's like... It's like... This scandal is even worse by Australian standards. It's like, let's not be too rude.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit too much.
I was like, let's not be too rude to Australia by being like, because Australia, they're really fucked up. You're like, okay, like, calm down.
Yeah, I feel like we've put Australia as the bar.
Yeah. Like, in New Zealand, the bar of crazy is like Australia.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, not really.
I feel like it's just the relationship between New Zealand and Australia.
That we have to...
If we go over that bar, then we're too close to Australia. Like, we don't want that.
We need to bring it down.
Yeah.
We need to bring... But also...
Either that, we need to bring it way up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, we're never like Australia.
No.
We're either way less crazy or we're way more crazy. As long as we're distant enough away from what Australia's at, we don't mind. Although actually being over there... Like, they just do things better, some things. Like, you know how cheap fruit and vegetables are in Australia?
I've heard.
Blueberries, $2.50 for like a punnet.
I thought it was like per berry.
No, not per berry. Like $2.50 for a carton of them. I'm like...
Oh, wow.
Exactly, it's like $8 here, and that's cheap. Like, Corn, 50 cents per ear of corn.
Oh.
I know. It's like, this is getting really boring, I know, because it's like fruit and veggies, but you don't understand how crazy it is.
Is it just because
Well,
Australia
they don't
has a lot of like farmland?
Well, yes, so they grow a lot of their food,
Yeah.
but also they don't have GST on fresh food.
Oh.
So they don't have government services tax on fresh food. Whereas we have GST across the board for everything. Yeah. Which...
I don't know how taxes work.
I don't know, I remember one person was saying, like, we should keep it uniform because otherwise it makes the tax system too complicated.
That's fair.
But then I was like, yeah, but by making the tax system complicated, is it making my food cheaper? Yes. Okay, well, I want cheaper food.
No.
Like,
I want my taxes to be simpler. I'm sorry.
I don't.
I'd rather pay the price.
I just want cheaper food.
Like, I don't want to go over to the US and be like, yeah, it's tax day. It's like, what's tax day? Yeah, we just gotta do all our taxes.
No. Like it wouldn't change that. Like we'd still, because the reason why the US you have to do your own taxes is because there's no department that can do your taxes for you. Whereas like here we've got IRD, who does our taxes for us. But I feel like, ideologically speaking, if you try to convince an American, oh, you know what you should do? You should let the government decide, like, do the taxes for you. They probably wouldn't go for that. Like, a lot of Americans would be like, no, I'm going to do my own taxes. Like, why? Taxes are dumb. Yeah. And also, American taxes are convoluted and complicated. Yeah. At least for us, we could just be like, oh, I'm meant to pay that much? Okay.
Cool.
Calculator.
Hold on. Let me just tick that box.
Yeah.
And here you go.
Here's my income. Yes, I only have one job. Here's my tax code.
Yeah.
Tell me how much I owe.
I was like, oh, I'm a student as well.
Yeah. I also have a student, and that's another thing. I have a student loan, and they just take the money that I need to pay back for my student loan without me having to do it myself. It's the most
useful thing.
It's so useful. Sure, they're taking money out of my account that I'm like, oh, I'd really like to use that, but at the same time, they're making me responsible for the debts I got myself into, which means I won't stop paying my debts, which is something I would definitely do.
Yeah.
Either through forgetfulness or there's a pair of shoes I want, so I'll pay my debt next week.
Pair of shoes.
Yeah, like, you know what? Because I can't trust myself. I need IRD to do it.
You know what,
for
James?
me.
I do feel like I need another pair of shoes.
Do you? You know, like, honestly, how many... Because the last time we went shoe shopping, which is a thing we totally do together, you got, what, the Chelsea shoes and those brown boots, didn't you? The Chelsea...
I got no Chelsea shoes.
Did you not get a Chelsea boot?
No.
Oh.
I ain't got no Chelsea boots.
I thought you did.
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
That's you, bro.
Well, yeah, I've got two pairs of Chelseas. But... Oh, what did... Oh, no, we bought those ones from, was it
Merchant or something?
Yeah, the Merchant, yeah.
Overlook or Overland or whatever.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the Merchant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The ones that you got. Is that the last pair of shoes you bought? No, you had...
We bought the Adidas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How many shoes do you feel like you need? Because I, personally, am kind of a freak for shoes. I, really need to buy shoes because I like Converse and I like boots.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I need... Well, I don't need one. But it'd just be great if I have, I was thinking something cheap from Number One Shoes. Which I can't be bothered dressing up today. I'll just wear that shoes.
So even when I go
casual and versatile.
See, even when I go to Number One Shoes, I'm always like, oh, that has a good design. It's like black and white camo. I just
black and white camo.
Well, it's more like grayscale camo because obviously, but
no, black and white camo.
It's more grayscale.
You will blend in with the stars.
Oh,
dude,
thank you. Aim for them or blend in with them.
I was listening to Hello Internet with CGP Grey and Brady Heron, just to plug them in there to our.
Oh yeah, watch them. They're actually really good. They're good car listening actually as a weird kind of for niche.
And I'm not gonna say they're not funny, but you don't kind of come in there. You don't come into CGP Grey thinking that he's gonna be fucking hilarious. No,
you come in hoping that you'll change the way in which you see the world. Really, kind of.
But yeah, I mean. Hello Internet, very funny at certain moments. They were talking about the Space Force. And apparently America is like trying to start up this kind of military program for space.
Yes, they
call
are.
it Space Force.
Yes, they are.
And they were talking about like logos for Space Force.
Yeah. No, yeah, no. Oh my god, I forgot about that. But yes, President Trump wants there to be like a space force.
Space Force.
Like a space. You know, I saw.
Who came up with that name?
I saw actual.
But you know what? If Trump came up with that name, I'm not surprised.
No, but like, I saw actual advertising on the Trump campaign, like on the Trump Facebook group, like, you know, like Trump, like the Trump Nation, where he puts out all of his like news, like Trump Nation news and all of that. And it literally was a poster of him, right? It was him standing and pointing, like just out into the distance, and he was surrounded.
Like Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, and it was like and he was surrounded by space, and it was like President Trump starts Space Force, and I'm like, how is this not satire? Like, how is this?
How is this not the evolution of Reagan and Star Wars?
Yeah, like how is this actually real? Like, how is this on the page and not on the Onion? You know, like how, like what is going on? But yeah, I forget that he wants to have like a full-on like Space Force, which is like
Space Force.
It seems like such a waste of money.
It also seems like a very bad name to call it.
Oh yeah.
Space Force.
Surely you're going to come up with something like
that. Sounds like a TV series for, I don't know, like a demographic of 8 to 12.
Like, surely you'd want something a bit more like distinctive, like the United States Space Command or something. You know what I mean? Like United States Space Command. Because like having Space Command sounds very dignified. Space Force sounds like Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like, you know, like you're gonna have like different characters that all have like different
Monsters of the Week.
Yeah, like different colored suits, and they're all good at something different, but they need each other to work. You know, like when I think Space Force, I don't think of like a military arm of the United States military. I think of 5 dudes in a spaceship
in rainbow colors.
Yeah. That are just like Space Force and like have the Ginyu Force from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'm thinking. That's all I'm thinking. You know, like I just can't see. Oh, and also like who's racing them to go into space? For military purposes. Because his whole argument was like, if we don't do it, someone else will do it before us. And I'm like, yeah, but who else is actively trying? Like, you know, like, who else? Like, I can't, like, the only other country on the planet that would have the capability of being able to do so would be China.
Yeah.
Or Russia.
Maybe Russia.
And they're like, they're not. They don't, they're
I feel like no one cares anymore.
Russia's space program's pretty much gone, and China's is still in like the very early stages of development. Like New Zealand has a space program. Do they think we're also gonna start it?
We've just been catapulting sheep.
No. Oh my god, no. The first thing New Zealand has to
Dave. Has he made it up yet?
No,
mate, he's still gone up.
No, you know what they need to do. This would literally be the pinnacle of New Zealand pride. After we've done this, New Zealand can literally retire. We can just stop. We can just stop doing everything. We need to get like the first space dairy farm on a satellite. That's like we just need to produce space milk. And just market like New Zealand space milk. I think that's all we need. That's all you need to do. That's
all
the pinnacle.
Nutrients you'll need.
Because at the moment, all we've been like literally, I say we have a space program. All we're doing is we're trying to get past like the stratosphere or like one of the we're just trying to get a rocket literally into space at this point, and we're getting really close. Like we really are. The fact that we do have a space program is kind of crazy though, because we're not. Although I think it's all privately funded. It's from that Rocket Labs. If you've ever heard of it. It's like privately owned company, and their plan is just for to develop rockets to transport especially to transport things to the International Space Station, which is the main thing we use it for transporting. And Elon Musk has come with the same thing, but he's currently it's costing billions of dollars to set it up, and our program is basically about trying to do it cheaper. So we're trying to get so that you can send stuff into space for like hundreds of millions rather than billions.
Yeah, cut corners.
Yeah,
put it together with tape.
Corners. Number 8 wire. Just like it's like, oh, the engine's about to fall off. Don't worry. Like, get some duct tape. Just it'll be fine. Like.
Nothing. QE ingenuity can't fix.
No, like it is very sophisticated. Like, obviously, it's sophisticated stuff that we're doing. We're just trying to find. We're just like using. Like, we're just coming to find ways to try and make things cheaper.
Yeah. To
then use, and whereas Elon Musk has taken already developed technologies which are currently very expensive and made rockets to transport stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like that difference of like, we're just going to try and make it cheaper, whereas he's just trying to get stuff to go into space, which he's done. And he's also given us electric cars. So good on you, Elon.
Yeah. Good on Elon.
It's weird how over in Brisbane...
He's been a bit on fire lately.
I mean, he has been on fire. Apparently he's sleeping at Tesla factories now because he's so stressed about their performance. And I'm like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh my.
He's had a spat with some British guy because of Thailand.
Yes.
And he was, I think, either Tesla or I think it was Tesla that was being investigated by the SEC or something.
Yeah, I think so.
And they're like, no, we'll just pay you. We'll pay out. It's fine.
Wouldn't you have that much money though, and you're like, oh yeah, I could be doing criminal activity, but actually we'll just pay you out. I'm like, fuck. What the hell?
Here are the fees.
Yeah, here's the fees for my crimes that I may or may not have committed. But surely it's an admission of guilt, right? I don't know.
Either that, they didn't want to drag it out.
Yeah, probably.
They were like, yeah, fine, we'll pay out.
Although I have to say, I've seen a way more like Tesla, like places to buy Tesla. There's that big Tesla.
They've started selling it here.
Yeah, on K Road. Yeah, on K Road, no less. Yeah. Oh.
Because they've had those displays in Albany Mall.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I've seen them more often, but I also seen very few on the road. So I imagine they're just very, very expensive.
Yeah, I'd imagine
vehicles. So. Yeah.
My mom was talking about this dude, like her friend, and she's like, yeah, he's got an electric car. I was like, oh, what brand? And she goes, oh, like a Nissan something. I'm like, that's not an electric car.
There's a Nissan Leaf. They're not like fully.
If it ain't Tesla, it's not an electric car.
Like the Nissan Leaf is like, it's like environmentally friendly, but like it's not fully electric. It's got like electric, like it requires less fuel, but it's
James. If it's not Tesla, it's not electric.
If it's not Tesla, it's not electric. Although the thing is that you would hope that car companies like Toyota, Nissan and stuff do start making electric cars, because then it would end a monopoly that Tesla has. Oh. And surely once monopoly's ended, they'll become cheaper, in theory. And we want electric cars, even though apparently they are very, very quiet, which can be rather dangerous.
I mean, look, I don't use my ears to spot cars.
I tend to use my eyes. Yeah. Yes, that's very true.
Because I always have my headphones on.
Yeah, actually, you know
I
what?
got my headphones on.
I imagine
I can't hear.
This is the funny thing, is that this is probably a problem for people like baby boomers who are like, but what if we can't hear the cars? Whereas millennials are like, I can't hear cars anyway. I'm listening to Panic at the Disco. Like I can't hear cars.
Panic at the Disco.
It's either Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy. Come on, you know there's only two things. There's only two types of music we listen to. It's Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy or trap music.
I don't know, man. I've been hanging out with like drama people lately, and they don't tend to.
What do they listen to?
I don't know.
You don't even know. It's foreign. It's like.
Well, like the two people I've been working with are very excited about Nick Cave, so.
Yeah. That's
whoever Nick Cave is.
Yeah, that is interesting. Nick Cave.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I knew who Nick Cave was when we were talking about it at the bus stop, but now that like he's related to music, I don't think I know who Nick Cave is.
Should we search up who Nick Cave is?
I mean, we searched up Canberra and we were so enlightened by it.
Oh, maybe
we might end up being big fans of Nick Cave.
I'm fully underestimating who Nick Cave is.
Yeah, you might fully underestimate Nick Cave's abilities.
Yeah. Alright, should we go to his Wikipedia page?
Well, that's the best way to find out about anyone, Randall.
Are you sure?
Yes.
It's trustworthy. It's not a reliable source.
Wikipedia is completely trustworthy.
Nicholas Edward Cave. Why
I'm
does it have
already
an AO on it? Born 22 September 1957, is an Australian...
hold on. I'm sorry. 1957. Okay, I was expecting someone in their 30s.
Why?
Like, I don't know why, but I was expecting someone in their 30s. This man's in his 60s.
Is an Australian musician, singer-songwriter, author, screenwriter, and occasional film actor, best known as the frontman of the rock band Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Does anybody know Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds?
Well, apparently Irene and India do, so...
That's so wild. I feel like they know him more from his acting and screenplays, surely.
I don't know. Cave's music is generally characterized. Sorry, English isn't my first language.
It's fine. We forgive you.
By emotional intensity, a wide variety of influences, and lyrical obsessions with death, religion, love, and violence. All the favorite things.
Oh, I mean, I honestly, when I'm ready to party out in the club, if it's not about religion, violence, I'm not.
I feel like I've been won over by death, religion, love, and violence.
Have you?
Yes.
You make a very good Catholic.
I'm gonna go listen to Nick Cave after this.
Cave. I was not expecting a 60-year-old.
Born and raised in rural Victoria.
Well, I'm done, really.
Cave studied art before turning to music in the 1970s.
Right.
As frontman of the Boys Next Door, later renamed The Birthday Party.
Why?
He became a central figure in Melbourne's burgeoning post-punk scene. Post-punk. Wait, 1970s? Was punk the thing back then? Yeah.
1970s. Punk was like end of the 1960s, early 1970s. Yeah.
So yeah, post-punk.
Yeah.
The band relocated to London in 1980, but, disillusioned by life there, evolved towards a darker, more challenging sound, and acquired a reputation as the most violent band in the world. The Birthday Party is regarded as a major influence in gothic rock, and Cave, with his shock of black hair, baritone singing voice, and pale, emaciated look, was described in the media as a poster boy for the genre.
I'm sorry, you're saying Irene and India are into him?
Well, look, that's. I heard Nick Cave.
No, honestly, I'm really I'm kind of into it. I kind of like the idea that Irene and India are into Nick Cave. I really am.
I heard Nick Cave and I searched up, and this is the first thing I found. So
I mean, how many Nick Caves could there be?
Exactly, right?
You know, how many Nick Caves?
I saw a news post that says he's coming to New Zealand.
Right.
So I connected two and two together and came up with one. Wait, hold on.
See, because what really surprised me.
Oh, you completely missed that. Okay, cool.
Because the last time I was I guess considering what Irene would listen to was because she went, I think, for Halloween as her and her boyfriend went as Fleetwood Mac. So she went as Stevie Nicks, I think.
When was this? I don't remember.
I don't know. It was I think it was in the first year I met her, which would have been my second year at uni. So
I don't know when you met her.
I met her in M109. So actually, it would have been my first year, second semester of my first year.
Because I was gonna say, I don't think you met her through me.
No. I met her in a class, and then and then every English paper I took, she was there.
Yeah.
But because all the English papers I took were creative writing and drama orientated, so I ended up doing that, which is fun actually. Creative writing was. I probably should have just kept doing creative writing as almost that should have just been what I did for all of my electives because it was quite relaxing to be able to just write and not have to research a source and decide that the
I mean, I say that, but I'm writing a script and it's just
I don't know. I think it's just something to kind of break the, because I think when you do something all the time, you just need something to break it to kind of just have an enjoyment of it more. You just need something in between that's not what you're constantly doing. Otherwise, you just drain yourself.
But yeah.
But here you are doing the creative stuff, and you're please just give me.
End me.
Yeah.
Just let it end. I don't know. I just feel like I've spent so long on this idea that it's kind of.
I think that's one of the problems, right? Is that you end up having an idea that you're like, oh, this is going to be really cool, it's going to be really fun, and then eventually
Yeah.
you just spend so long on it that actually it stops being enjoyable and becomes just very...
And even then, it's like, what I have now was very far from my original idea.
But it's just like, you've been thinking about it and maybe sometimes overthinking about it for so long that you just, it's like, you just don't know what to do with yourself. Because to be honest, I'm not sure what I want to do now after once I've handled this dissertation. Like, I've been researching so much on contemporary Māori music and the way in which Māori interact with that music. I don't know what the fuck I want to do now.
Keep researching contemporary Māori music.
Well, I guess I technically do from the fact that I listen to it, but like, it's just, I just don't know what I want to, what do I want to do anymore? I just know too much about it. Like, sometimes I think I know too much, but I guess you can't really know too much about a subject until... You know, like you're never able to know too much. There's always something you don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I imagine that for people, like when I did the Tolkien course, I imagine for people that study J.R.R. Tolkien, at some point these books are no longer enjoyable, right? Like at some point they are now not so much, you don't so much read them now because you want like a break.
Yeah.
You read them because it's part of like your study and it's part of your job and it's part of, I'm like, that must be what happened. I don't know,
that's just because Tolkien has only released so many books.
Yeah, before he died, yeah.
So it's like at some point you are gonna run out of material to read, I guess.
Yeah, but you still have to keep going back to the books, right? Because you're like, I could keep reinterpreting these things.
It's the same thing.
I mean, true, but you'd be surprised at how many people draw very different conclusions to what he's writing about.
Yeah.
Especially because there's always that big debate, right? Like, he was very adamant that his books weren't based upon the world wars and had nothing to do with like what was going on around him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, can you really even say that you didn't write them based upon that you didn't write them based upon what was going around you? Because sometimes we unconsciously place things into the work that we do based upon what's happening around us. And if you are growing up in a time period where there's like a world war, it's very hard to distance yourself from that world war if it's immediately, if you're confronted by it and like everything that happens around the So I don't know. That's a big debate because the lecture that we had was adamant that he didn't do it based on anything in terms of his own personal experiences with the war, and I was like, but that kind of like it's that kind of like constant question of like how conscious are we in our decision making? Like,
Not a lot.
Yeah. So
I've been watching a lot of David Eagleman's The Brain.
Right. Yes.
Just because it's kind of, I guess, part of my research. I put that in quotation mark for my essay that I'm planning on writing
soon.
Yeah, soon.
Hopefully, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, because like I don't know, we covered this topic in Drama 708, which is, I'll remind people, it's about drama in the mind. So we do cover a bit of psychology, and we were covering this play called The Effect by I think her name was Lucy Preble. And it's a really good play. So it's about it focuses on these two people and they're part of this like experiment of antidepressants. And like I think antidepressants usually like increase like dopamine output or something.
Yeah, because they usually try to correct an imbalance.
And so like it's about them falling in love, but then they're like, is it real? Just because like the drugs that we are taking might have been increasing our dopamine, so like this could just be an effect of the drugs. So it is that question of like, are our feelings real?
Yeah.
Like what's the difference between a drug induced, even if it was drug induced,
and
if it was this action,
and are our actions wholly decided by, like, are we the true decider of our actions, or is there something else that decides our actions?
Yeah, and also like there's this. I was watching The Brain by David Eagleman. It's all on YouTube if people want to watch it. It's really interesting, and he's like, people tend to think of emotions as a conscious thing. We feel anger and we could just, I don't know, I guess control that. But he's found that the body just kind of feels the emotion without you being aware of it.
Yeah. And I think that, and it's like a really good point to make, right? Like, are we truly conscious of our emotions?
Yeah.
Like, are we truly able to detect and fully realize our emotions?
And like we kind of use emotions to make decisions in
Yeah.
our lives. Because there's the docu-series was covering this woman who had an accident, and she can't make decisions. Like, she finds it very hard to make a decision, just because, like, you know, David Eagleman was talking about how our emotion puts weight on certain things, so they put a value on it.
Yeah.
Without the emotions, everything, the way I read it, everything weighs the same. And you've got all this information coming in all at once, and you can't decide between which is...
And actually that's a good point, right? Like, when people say they've made a logical choice or a logical decision, has it actually been logical?
Yeah.
Like, in quotation marks, or
there
is
was,
it... Yeah, you know?
there was another one. Have you heard of the one about judges? Like, an experiment on judges. So, they found out that when you're appealing for parole, you would want to appeal for parole just after lunch instead of just before lunch.
Right.
Because apparently, I think people who appealed just after lunch were 3 times more likely to get
parole than those.
parole.
Yeah, than those that appealed for parole before.
Yeah,
lunch.
because they were like, I think it was like the same crimes and the same severity or something in the same sentences.
Yeah.
But the guy who went in just before lunch didn't get it, but the guy who went in
and I think that's why it's very important also to, like, not ignore ideas like unintentional or bias as well when we talk about these things. So I think that's all part of it, right? Like, unintentional biases are biases that we have that we're not fully conscious of, but we definitely act on unconsciously. So I think that's why, like, and I think that's why it's important to kind of reframe the conversation. It's like, it's not that judges are inherently racist, or like doctors, for example, which it's recently found that Māori are less likely to get treatment for similar diseases based on unconscionable bias by doctors. So it's like, it's not so much to say, like, you're racist, it's just that you have an unconscious bias which affects the way in which you make decisions that are disproportionately affecting a group of people over another group of people. And so I think there needs to be some kind of reframing of that kind of critique.
Yeah. And also I wonder if even if you are aware of that bias within you, can you still take steps to stop that, or are you still affected by it even though... That's a really good point. Like, if it, like, does becoming aware of something in your unconscious mean that you are now conscious of it? Like, that's kind of the simplistic way of talking about it. Like, is there actually a way to solve those problems? I don't know. That we leave that for the psychologist. That's an answer for you to answer. Excuse me, I only have my bachelor's.
Yeah.
I am not a postgrad.
In the anthropology department, we put all of that to be like, I don't know, we just think about it. How about you give us the answer? And you're like, we're 96% sure.
95% our confidence interval is between.
Yeah. Confidence intervals. I mean... It is good, though, because I feel like it's good to have... I think it's good to be in a research sector that's constantly critical of its own, like, theory, right? Like, if it's constantly looking back at itself and being like, did we get that right? No, we didn't. Let's rethink.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a whole science thing.
Well, no, science has to be self-critical, right? Like, when you've proven something, you've actually really proven...
Well, you haven't proven anything.
You've not proven anything.
Not
it's
really.
Just there's nothing that's... it's not so much that you've proven something, it's just nothing can disprove what you've just said.
You've got all these evidence for your theory.
Yeah.
Nothing has undermined it.
Yeah.
Strongly
But
enough.
as soon as something does undermine it...
Yeah, but like... Yeah. I don't know. I guess with all my time in science, I don't believe in absolutes. And that's a paradox because because if I say there is no such thing as absolutes, that in itself is an absolute. And I go,
and then your brain
Don't think about it.
And then your brain starts to hurt. Yeah, I think that's why it's like, it's important to realize that every subject is like that. Like, every subject is constantly renegotiating its own theories and its own kind of, I guess, its own absolutes, right? Like it constantly looks back and goes like, is this actually an absolute or is it not? And like deciding on whether, what you're just saying, that is there a possibility of there actually being absolutes, and then creating that paradox, right? It's that's an absolute to say there's nothing absolute. Yeah. So complex and difficult to do.
Yeah, because I think about it as like, the sun isn't the chances of the sun going up tomorrow isn't completely 100%.
No.
Like it could just, I don't know, one day it'll just explode.
We don't. Well, again, there's nothing to suggest that a sun can't just, I don't know, move away one day. And there's nothing to suggest that it couldn't do that. We've just never observed a sun doing that, so therefore we've presumed that a sun can't do that. But we've, all it would take is a sun to act really weirdly for us to be like, ooh, suns can act weirdly. So, yeah, I mean, that's all what science is, right? Science is not so much about proving things, it's about disproving the unprovable, I guess. I don't know. Similar.
The philosophy about science is pretty complicated.
Well, I mean, the one simplistic philosophical idea you have about science from philosophy is the black swan example.
Falsifiability.
Yeah, falsifiability. So, like, to find, like, to disprove the theory that all swans are white, it's not so much a matter of checking every single swan, it's just finding the one black swan. Yeah. Because then that disproves the statement all swans are white. So it's that idea that you're actually not looking for truth, but rather you're looking for the lie. Or science is about changing truths into lies and therefore making another truth.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to think of it as truths as well.
No, but see, that's the thing. It's like, even philosophers don't want to think of it as truths, because there's this philosophy that's like, what is a truth? And you're like, God damn it. I'm kind of happy I didn't do philosophy, because I think my brain would have melted.
Very complicated.
Yeah, and some people rubbish philosophy as being like, as it's not worthwhile, and I'm like, I think philosophy is worthwhile, because as I said to, actually it was Megan, because I was like, really, philosophers are kind of like, they're the people that ask questions that we don't think need answers, but like, they're the ones that are asking them, and maybe one day we will need the answers to those questions. Like, one, for example, that I think she did was this idea of like, so one of the philosophy ones was about like the brain, and it's like, okay, so what if you could transfer your mind into a computer, but you had to die, but your mind would be transferred into that computer and you would live forever, but you would have died. So it's like, would you die for then your mind to live forever? Because it's no guarantee that consciousness and the mind are, you know what I mean? It's this kind of weird, it was this weird kind of philosophical dichotomy. And she was like, I don't know why we needed an answer to that. And I'm like, but what if one day we find a way to transfer the mind onto a computer? Yeah. We need to know the philosophical problems of that, right?
But then again, would you be transferring the mind into a computer, or are you just
making
up a program that acts like...
No, so the idea is that you could just transfer the mind, so your mind, everything about the brain, your mind, into a computer, but you would have to die.
Sorry, I just kind of think I kind of think as the mind is connected to the brain.
Have you seen that one on the on teleportation? I think it was by Kurtzger. Have you ever seen that on teleportation?
I think so.
Yeah,
I watched one with CGP Grey.
Yeah, there was something on the one with CGP. The idea of like, if teleportation was real, there's no guarantees that teleportation would actually teleport us, or whether depending on how teleportation works. The idea that if you're taking every single atom and then reassembling them at a new point, is that still you?
Yeah.
And like, if using a teleportation device, does that mean you technically kill yourself every time you go through a teleportation device, but the reorganizing of your atoms at the other end keeps someone that's exactly identical to you but isn't actually you because you died when you went into, know? So that was the whole idea behind transferring the mind into a computer, is that you're transferring everything from here to there, but between transferring it from the head to the computer or whatever, between that, there's no guarantee that what we've transferred is still you.
I just feel I feel like the mechanics of this example is very different to the like teleportation one.
Not necessarily, because what you're saying is really what you're saying is that you're transferring like every single kind of neuron and thought and everything that processes your brain into a new type of system that processes them in identical ways. But the transfer of those kinds of processes, although identical, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to end up in the exact same sense of consciousness as that they left, right? If you know what I mean.
Repeat that.
So, like, if you're transferring something into a machine or a computer that acts like a brain, what you're basically trying to do is you're trying to kind of program everything that's in the brain into that computer identically. Everything is exactly the same. However...
Okay, let's just take this example and say we have a mechanical brain. It acts like the brain we have in our head.
Yeah.
But it's not going to degrade biologically. Mm-hmm. But it still has the same kind of mechanics and everything. Mm-hmm. And you're transferring what you have in your head into this mechanical brain. Mm-hmm. So the question is that still you? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I was thinking as a computer, as like an actual computer.
Oh, like my laptop?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'm just like...
no.
You just kind of have to like practically just make like code your own brain.
No, because the whole exercise is that immortality for you, or is it immortality for someone that's identical to you? Well, that was the whole kind of philosophical debate.
Have you heard of... We're running a bit overtime, but have you heard of... there's a play called Carol... Not the play. The play isn't called Carol Churchill. Carol Churchill wrote
Steve?
The play
No.
called... I think it's A Number. And it's about a father and his child who's been like genetically copied and like has been given clones.
Yeah.
And so like the first part of the play kind of covers his two sons, and I put sons in quotation mark because one is like a copy and the other one is real ? Mm-hmm. And so like, I don't know, like the copy isn't happy that he's a copy and kills the original or something. But then you kind of meet another copy whose name is Michael, and he's married and he's got kids and he's happy, and he's like, I think the father's like, are you not upset that you're a copy? And he's like, does it matter?
Yeah, I think
it's kind of related to that.
Yeah, it is related. I think because I suppose like it's similar, but the purpose of the transferring of a brain to a machine is that it's not so much is the machine happy that it's a copy of. Like, is the machine... It's not that is the machine happy about being a copy of an original, quote-unquote. Yeah. It's more saying, is the original, or is you, as the person, happy with the idea that by transferring your mind to another, you may not make it to that other side? As in, an identical copy of yourself will live while the original, quote-unquote, is gone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the debate, really. So... And see, that's a question that I wouldn't know the answer to. Don't think we need the answer to, but it's good to have these conversations now in case it happens in the future. It's good to know that people are still thinking about it.
Like, the you that's thinking now, because we're kind of thinking it from an outside perspective, but if you think about it from your view, you go to sleep, but then the you that's thinking before you go to sleep, is it you that wake up in the machine, or do you just never, from your perspective, just never wake up?
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole debate, right? Like, is it death for yourself, but life for another type of yourself? So from the machine's perspective, are they waking up? Like they've gone to sleep, but for you, you've gone to sleep to never wake up.
Yeah, so I just think of it as like, you know, it's kind of the same program, but a different copy. It's like one program ends, but another starts.
Yeah.
But they're not the same program. They're identical. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, but also in a way, it's not a copy because a copy means that the original and the new can exist together, right? That's the whole point of a copy. The difference is that it's not so much a copy as it's almost a new you.
Not so much a copy, but identical.
Yeah, like a.
Because do we have a word for that?
I guess not Really? A forgery is probably one of the close, but that's not it. That's not even it.
A copy would be a better
because a forgery is a copy of something that shouldn't be copied, basically.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a word for it. I wouldn't know. I don't think there is a word for it. And I also think it's because it's a concept that I just don't think human language has ever needed to confront. Right? Like, because I think the idea of the self is something that's probably the most inherent thing we know from birth. But again, do we truly know the self?
Yeah.
Even though it's the most inherent, it's one of the first things you know when you're born is who you are.
I don't know, man. That I feel like with that thought experiment, I've just imagined myself dying, and it always freaks me out. Just like not existing, not being aware.
See, it's funny because for me, it's I think it's interesting because for me, immortality terrifies me.
Really?
Immortality really terrifies me. The idea of having to live forever. Because for me, immortality terrifies me because, in a sense, the world terrifies me. And I know, and like, if you think, and like, in my head, I think about all the terrible shit that's happened throughout history.
Yeah.
And I go, thank God I didn't live through that. Whereas, so almost in my own head, I'm like, I don't know what the future holds, but I hope that the future for me is good. But I feel like the longer I live, the more likely it is that I'm going to end up in a bad present in the future.
Yeah.
So, yeah, immortality terrifies me.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, immortality doesn't... I guess it just depends on your definition of immortality.
Right, yeah.
Like, for me, I just kind of want to stop aging.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, I mean, and again, my immortality is not aging, but I think that's also, like, partly the problem, is that I will be, like, fit and able in those new dark futures. Like, I would like to be, say I made it to 80 and the world goes to shit. It's fine. I've got 10 years tops of living in this reality.
That's optimistic.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an optimistic view. So, but the idea of not aging, being fit and able in a dark period of, like, a future history, so be it. No. And also, like, I'm pretty content with the current era I live in.
Yeah.
And I'm content that what I do now will hopefully set up a future generation to do better on top of the good I at least will try to do. So I'm okay with leaving the future to a future generation without me. I'm okay to go. Like, to peace out, if you will. Like, yeah, like, I don't know. I just don't. And I remember someone being like, is that a type of being suicidal? And I was like, well, no, because like, I don't want to go now.
Yeah.
But like, I do want to leave at some point.
Yeah.
Like, at some point I do want to, like, go. Because I feel like the longer you live, the more weary you would be of life. And the only reason I think that is because when you take, like, a baby and take them from, like, a baby till they're 4, everything around them amazes them because it's new. Like, everything. Whereas, like, I feel like the longer you live, no matter how amazing technology would even get, the sense of wonder would eventually start to leave to a point where nothing amazed you anymore. Like, nothing surprised you. Nothing, like...
Really?
Well, yeah, like, in my head I'm thinking, like, there's got to be a point...
It's a very pessimistic view.
Well, no, but, like, there has to be a point, right? Because,
Does
like...
it?
Well, yeah, because I feel like at some point... there has to be a part where no matter how old you get, stuff's going to stop amazing you. And realistically, the older you get, you're going to be... Because the idea is that... Because if you have this idea that humanity is on a linear scale of improvement, one, it's wrong. So even if we're on a linear scale of improvement, I think at some point it would plateau. But humanity's not constantly improving. It sometimes improves and then it sometimes degrades. So you'll be far less surprised and amazed by our advances and far more disappointed by our regresses because you were there for when we were more advanced. Like, that's how I picture it.
But then again, I feel like you're looking at it as if the only thing that will amaze you is progress.
No, but I suppose, yeah, I guess that's the wrong word. But I suppose what I'm saying is that, like, we have parts in our history that are good. We have parts in our history that are amazing. Like, they're parts in our history that we look back on as being golden ages. and we have parts in our history that we don't like, and we have parts in our history that we would rather wish didn't happen. And the fact that you would live through multiple stages of those highs and lows would eventually get to you, I feel. Especially if you're on such a long time scale. Like, experiencing, like, the highs of a civilization and then the lows of that civilization on a constant would eventually get tiresome, I feel. At least in my head, I feel like it would get tiresome. Whereas being able to live through sections of a golden age or sections of a more lower period means that you will always experience, at least in some form, small improvement or small decline, never really suffering from the major shifts that you would go through. And then, of course, there's unfortunate souls that live through periods of rapid decline, but that's a different kind
I don't know, man.
argument.
I just feels like I feel like there's always going to be something that I'll find new in the world if I do live long enough and travel enough. I don't know. You're looking at it from a very macro perspective, while I tend to look at things from a very micro perspective.
But surely you have to look at it in a macro perspective because of how long you'll be living. Like, you will be living for a long time.
Because no one's ever lived that long.
That's true.
We don't know if you ever lived that long. You look at things in a macro perspective or a micro perspective.
I don't know. Because I suppose I take the more Tolkien-ish route on immortality, because Tolkien took the view of immortality as being a process of you getting more and more weary with the idea of immortality, the longer in which your immortality lasts. And he used that example with the elves. Like, the elves start on a massive high, but they constantly become more and more weary. Because of their weariness, they begin to decline. Whereas humanity is so fleeting, and their life is so fleeting, that everything to them is amazing, and everything kind of can restart with each generation, which means that those amazements continue to amaze, and therefore that positivity, or the kind of ability for man to constantly fight for what they believe in, the ability for man to see the best in the world, is because of their fleeting time on Earth. Whereas the elves were more and more cynical the longer and longer they lived. So I think I take more that route.
Okay.
The Tolkien kind of route. The idea that you're going to get more and more weary of the world, whereas the more fleeting your life is, the more you're willing to view the world in a more positive light because of how fleeting you realize the life is going to be.
Yeah, I guess if you have the shorter lifespan, you'll cherish it more, I guess.
And I don't know, and it's just, like, immortality scares me far more than death. Death, for me, it's almost like just handing down the baton. It's like, now you do all the shit I had to do. Piece me out the door. Like, I'm done.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. And also, I like sleeping. So the idea of sleeping forever? Great.
No, I'm good.
Great. I love it. I love that idea. I completely love that
I make all the suicidal jokes, but like... deeper than me, I want to live forever.
Deeper than you want to live forever. Yeah, I just couldn't. I don't think I could. I really couldn't. And I suppose the reason I could is that I would only be able to live forever if everybody around me could live forever.
Yeah.
Because I also think experiencing loss, if you were the only person to be mortal, would be horrific.
I feel like I imagine immortality as like a scientific advancement. So if I'm able to live forever,
everybody else,
it's not just like, oh, suddenly I've got a superpower to live forever. Like,
but then of course you have to talk about like overpopulation and.
CGP Grey said it best. Not convinced about overpopulation. We haven't expanded to space yet.
Yeah.
And with the concept of mortality, long-term projects like populating space will be possible.
Because people will be living for long enough. Yeah, that's a good point. Again. No. Again, immortality just still... No. The idea of immortality, not into it. I remember watching that CGP Grey video and I was not convinced immortality was the way to go. I really wasn't.
Cool. Alright, so we'll end it at that. We're at an hour and 20. My dude.
Just call it immortality, I think.
Yeah, just not into it.
Just not into it.